So today I want to introduce you to Hunt-Kaufmann. She is a magical, lovely friend and an incredible musical theater performer. I think you'll be really interested to see how her career has unfolded in really unique and surprising ways. So enjoy this interview. We're going to kick it off with a little reel of some of the professional opportunities that she has had. So enjoy it.
Double stack combo, cruising round the city. It's a pity. Suddenly came the dawn.
From the night,
Suddenly I was born
into light.
How can it be me? There's an artist who needs our inspiration to achieve truly great work. For whenever a mortal has the creative instinct, he soon after has the feeling of doubt. And with our guidance, perhaps this artist shall create the greatest art of all. Stars are aligned, are they not? Is this not Venice? Is this not the dawn of the 80s? Yes. And thirdly, I will sport an Australian accent. I mean, by the fires of all the shrimp on the barbie, I shall help this Sonny Malign to fulfill his destiny. I used to laugh, but now I understand. Shake the hand of a brand new.
And you alone can thrill me like you do. Shimop, shimop,
You are here, so
Shimop, shimop.
am I.
shimop, shimop,
Maybe millions of people
shimop,
walk
shimop.
by, but we will always have each other. They will always be the fire in my heart. Here I, between our frozen dinner and our bedtime, 9:15. Was snuggled watching Lucy on our big, enormous 12-inch screen. So how can it pass for me when I need you more and more?
So Allie, that was amazing to see some of the work that you've done. Really, really loved, especially that final moment when I watched it with my daughter and she said, she was the singer in Phantom of the Opera. I just loved it. It was so beautiful.
I love it. Thank you. Yeah, it's been really fun to get to be a part of these special moments for audiences, and creating different characters on stage.
And what is it like to look back and kind of see the body of work that you've already done? Do you forget things that you did because it was so long ago?
Yeah, it was really cool looking back through photos and videos, just putting my website together because I had an old one and I needed to update it. So I was talking with a friend yesterday actually and said, it's so crazy to think about all the opportunities that I've been a part of and had the privilege of being a part of. And it's a really humbling experience too, to think, gosh, I can't believe I did that,
Yeah. Well, let's start at the beginning. So what first sparked your love of performing?
Well, I started taking dance when I was 3 and singing in the church choir probably around 7. because we had moved to a new church and they had this amazing choir, just gorgeous. It's still gorgeous to this day. And my mom works backstage downtown in Detroit, and she's part of the wardrobe union. So she is able sometimes to allow family to come and meet the people she's dressing, and she can give a backstage tour. So I had the opportunity to do that a number of times in my youth. And I know in my youth, I'm still young, but as a child, I should say. And I really had an amazing time. That's where I say, like, I caught the bug, because I remember one moment, I think it was Sunset Boulevard, the tour was there, and we had gotten to meet the lead character. My mom took me backstage, and they were starting to tear down the set because it was the closing day, and there were all these set pieces moving around and everything coming down, but the lights were still on. And so I was walking backstage and just like turned to look, and the whole stage was open, the lights were on, and I got goosebumps, and I just felt like I wanted to cry. I was like, this is where I'm supposed to be. It was pretty crazy. So
what did you
really
do from there? What was your like first step, I guess?
So in 6th grade, that was my very first show that I did. And that was with a troupe that was coming through to different elementary schools and providing an outlet for kids, much like Kaleo. And there was a producer and a writer, and he was all in one, and he brought his sets and props and scripts and everything with him. So we did a casting, and I was cast as the Wicked Queen, which literally all my friends were like, no, she can't play that character. She's way too nice. Like, you don't understand. And I really wanted to be Snow White. And it was 9 Men and a Little Lady was the script. So it was like a take on Snow White. And he wrote his own music and stuff. And it was super fun. And I got to be this totally different character that I never thought I'd be able to play. And it was so much fun and kind of eye-opening for me too, it as a 6th grader, to think like, I can do this, and I can be a different character than one like myself. A lot of times people get typecast, which is a lot of the roles that I've played as a professional, but getting to do that was like, I can do anything. So that was pretty awesome.
Sweet. Did you ever deal with stage fright, especially at the beginning?
I don't think so. I think even in dance, as a 3-year-old, 4-year-old, I'm pretty sure that I was like, look at me. I don't ever remember having moments of stage fright. I think I had friends who had stage fright, and I was always the one that was like, it's going to be great. Don't worry. You're not going to see them. Or, how adults would say, like, think of everyone in their underwear. Like, I don't know. Can I say that?
It's a weird thing to say, but
it's like, picture everyone in their underwear. So like, so that you don't feel embarrassed. It was like, that was the thing, but I don't know who told me that. I think it was like a dance teacher at one point, because there were some kids who were nervous about going on stage, and she's like, just pretend everyone's in their underwear. You'll never be embarrassed about anything.
Wow. So then from there, you chose to pursue a degree in musical theater. Did you have your sights set on Broadway? That's where I'm headed? Or what made you choose to go to school for it?
Yes, I continued in theater from 6th grade on whenever I could. My junior high didn't really have a huge program, but we did have the drama department, so I definitely was a part of that, and cheerleading as well, so that kind of took me in a different direction for a little bit. But in high school, I really went back to it, and that was the only activity after school pretty much that I was doing, and taking voice lessons. And I thought, gosh, I could do this, and I could try for Broadway. And that was kind of the turning point for me in high school. I got a few roles in high school, and I was like, okay, maybe I am good enough for this. Maybe I could do this. And decided to go to Oakland University. I auditioned for U of M, actually, and that was where I really wanted to go. And I didn't get in, which was really sad. And I remember getting the letter, and my parents kept it from me for a little bit because I forget what we had, like camp or something. And I was really excited to go to camp, and they didn't want me to see the letter before I went. So when I got back, it was like tears and a hot mess, just like so upset. And I was like, what am I going to do? I'll never make it to Broadway if I can't even get into U of M, you know? But God had amazing plans, you know? Plans are not always what we think. You know, our plan is not always best. And Oakland University was amazing. I was part of the first senior class to do a senior showcase in New York City. So that was really fun. We fundraised, we got grants, and being a part of like spearheading that was amazing. Now they do it and the school funds it, which is pretty awesome, but we were the first ones. So we kind of demanded that in a way, like, no, we're amazing. We need to put ourselves out there. We need agents. So that was pretty amazing. And from there, that summer, I moved to New York City, and I auditioned as much as I could while working and, you know, trying to make a living while auditioning. It's pretty tricky there, but it's definitely doable. And I did 2 technically off-Broadway shows there. I say technically because it's all about the number of seats. It's very interesting.
Never knew that.
Yes. So I was part of 2 there, and everything else I seemed to be getting booked in Michigan, which was kind of crazy to me, thinking I'm in New York and I'm booking in Michigan. So after 4 years, I kind of took a step back and thought, I really miss my family. If I'm working in Michigan, maybe there's more opportunity than I think, and I'm going to move home. So that's kind of what brought me back around. That was a long-winded answer for that question.
Before we go into where you landed back home in Michigan, tell us, like, what was it like in New York? Because I imagine a lot of the students we have their sights set on the big city, LA, New York, you know, making it big. What was it like? Was it kind of all you dreamed it would be?
Yeah, I think parts of it were. I didn't really love the big city feel. I probably would have liked Chicago better, or maybe even LA. But it was really fun to be in a place that was hustling and bustling all the time. But it also felt a little lonely to me. So that's just my personal opinion. I don't think that should make anyone shy away from going. Like, I think, yes, definitely do it. It was an amazing experience. And it was hard work for sure. I got up super early every day, like 4 a.m. to get dressed and ready and go and wait in line or put my name on a list for auditions. And as a non-union person, when I first got there, that was kind of the protocol. So you would go and there would be like an unofficial list of the first people who got there. And then you wait until the audition time starts, so usually 9 a.m. And then they would either transfer the list over and make it an official list, or you would have to re-sign up again. And if you weren't there, you lost your spot. So it was kind of crazy how like that those details worked, but that would happen, you know, and then you would go to another one and try to put your name on multiple lists to get seen as much as you could in one day. I think the most auditions I did in one day was like 5. And then like at 3 o'clock, hopefully you've been seen, because a lot of times you put your name on lists and they get through all of the union performers, which is Actors Equity, and then the EMC performers, which are equity member candidates. So like if you have worked a certain number of shows but didn't do it on an equity contract, you would get points towards becoming an equity member. So that's a lot of lingo. Hopefully that makes sense. And then they would get to the non-union performers. And sometimes the list would be so long for the union and the candidates that they would get to 3 o'clock and they'd be like, okay, thanks for waiting, everyone, but we're not going to see you today. Ah! So that was kind of crazy sometimes to go through that. And then I would go to work from there, and I worked at Outback Steakhouse on 56th and 3rd. And that was like my home away from home. Friends there, but pretty much all my friends worked there, and people who didn't work there who became my friends, I got a job there for them. So that was pretty fun, and it was a great community there. And then the rest of the week would be similar. Get up, go through it all again, and then by Saturday you're totally pooped from getting up super early every day, you know, and going through auditions. But it was fun, and it was a great experience, that's for sure.
So it makes me think that to have a career in this, you probably either have to really love the audition process or just be able to embrace it. And I was just going to ask you, what is it like to do that day in, day out, to maybe have to deal with the nerves and the waiting and the feedback and the criticism and the, you know, maybe rejection? What is it like to have that as part of your career?
Well, you have to develop a thick skin, that's for sure. And I think after a certain number of times, it can be very discouraging. So you also have to have a support brace, which is either friends or family that are continuing to encourage you. And you also have to encourage yourself and keep working towards those goals. I think I definitely got a little jaded every now and then would have to remind myself like this, I love doing this. And I think one of the key things for me was when a friend had said, you know what, why don't you think of it as a performance every time you audition? And that kind of was a key phrase for me to think about, because when you go in thinking it's an audition and they're judging me, and the nerves all sort of start to come together, and it can be overwhelming. But if you think of it as, I'm going in, I'm making magic today, I am going to perform my best, and if I'm not what they're looking for, then there's nothing I can really do about that, and I'm just going to do my best. And that's kind of where I think I had the best auditions, was like, okay, you know, nothing may come of this, but it's fun, and I love doing this, and I'm just going to go in. And a lot of times they don't give you critiques or criticism. The majority of the time it's more, thank you, and that's it, you know, or like, oh, that was beautiful. Like I a number of times had people say, oh, that was so beautiful, thank you so much. And then I'd be like waiting to say, you know, do I get a call back? And they don't say anything else. And then I'm like, cool, they thought it was beautiful. I'm obviously not what they're looking for, and that's okay. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think that it's just a process that you have to continually put yourself through and get really good at it and make it fun and fresh for yourself every time you do it.
Wow. Crazy. And so then going back to, you know, your time back home, tell us about like how your career unfolded. Did it go the way that you thought? Tell us about kind of some opportunities that came.
Yeah. So when I moved back, I had actually been cast in a show at Meadowbrook Theater in Rochester, Michigan, and they had offered me my equity card. So that was really exciting. So I became a member of the union, and I was in Michigan, and I was like, oh gosh, this would have been super handy in New York, you know?
Just for those that might not know, can you explain kind of that, why that matters as an actor?
Yes. So you get priority for union or equity houses, and a house is a theater. So you get priority for auditions, and the Actors Equity Union has a whole bunch of other benefits to it as well, like health benefits. If you have 20 weeks of equity work, which is from equity housing or equity houses, theaters, and the priority to audition is really the biggest thing, I think, because as I was saying earlier, as a non-union performer, a lot of times I didn't even get seen for the equity theaters. So having that was like a huge boost of confidence, but also like thinking to myself, okay, I could go and visit New York and just audition and see what happens, which I did a number of times, which was really fun, and get to see my friends again. So that's kind of the equity, all encompassing thing. So, moving back to Michigan and getting that equity card was like the golden ticket for me, is what it felt like. And I loved performing at Meadowbrook Theater. They're amazing, super fun to work with. And I thought, I think I can do this as a career in Michigan and be successful. And there aren't quite as many equity houses in Michigan. So the one caveat of becoming a union member is then you cannot work for any non-union theater companies, which, it is what it is. And there are a lot of professional non-union theaters in Michigan. So that made it a little trickier to get work here in Michigan. But I decided to kind of make my own opportunities, which I think is really crucial as a performer and artist. One of them was a character entertainment company. And I have lots of costumes, as you can see behind me here. So that was one big thing. And then also using my skills as an actor and singer and dancer and teaching those things. So doing choreography or directing. And then also I was in a band for a little while that did like singing and dancing. It was a rockabilly band. So lots of fun. And the dancing was crazy in that. I think I burned like 1,000 calories every single time I did a song. So that was super fun. And then also teaching voice lessons, or vocal coaching and acting coaching. And these are opportunities that I wouldn't have had if I didn't delve in so far into the career and have all this experience. And then not to mention that there's representation here, agents that I am represented by, and they, have on-camera work, voiceover work, commercials, things like that. So there are so many opportunities here, and it's just scratching the surface, really.
Wow. Yeah, I know you have a lot of different things that you're working on. What do you think surprises you most about kind of the degree that you went for and the opportunities that came from it?
Yeah, I think probably the voiceovers would be the biggest surprise to me. That wasn't something that I had ever set my sights on. And I think at one point someone said, "You have a really cool voice. Like your voice is really fun to listen to." And I was like, "My singing voice? No, your speaking voice." "My speaking voice?" Okay, that's cool. And it kind of unwrapped as this, sort of someone believed in something about me, and then I went for it, which is pretty cool. And that's why believing in other people, I think, is so crucial, because they might not realize something about themselves that we do, or outsiders see, and it could become this reality to them, which is super awesome.
Mm-hmm. So I know you mentioned that there's some costumes behind you. Is this what an office looks like for someone in your line of work?
Yes. And you can't see, but there are walls on this side full of costumes and this side full of costumes, and then behind me. And then in front of me is a whole wall of wigs.
Wow. I mean, that is like a dream for many, many kids. You're living the dream in a lot of ways.
Super fun. I could just be like, you know what, today I think I'm just gonna put some fun costumes on. I'm having a bad day, and just like dance around in my kitchen. I know that sounds crazy, but I am the biggest kid at heart. I kid you not. I kid you not, I'm the biggest kid.
Well, it's funny, we had another interview and it was said, that was mentioned in the interview, because I think that playful spirit keeps you creative. And when you're in an artistic line of work, you don't want to lose that. You want to be able to let your mind take you to new places, because that keeps it fresh, which is kind of fun.
Yes, embracing that inner kid.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your time. I have a million other questions that I'd love to ask you, so it would be so fun if we could do this again. But I think that, our audience is really going to just kind of, be surprised at the different ways that they could pursue maybe their passion in musical theater, and have maybe more opportunities than they originally would have thought, which is kind of, so, well, thank you for everything. And we'll do this again, okay?
Yeah, sounds great.
Okay.